Joker's been out for a little bit now. Hopefully you guys had a chance to check it out. There's a lot of things I want to talk about in my other review, but they'd be spoilers. So this is a warning now. This review will be full of spoilers. You were warned. Now let's get started. I just want to talk about things that I thought were really interesting and things that really stood out for me in this movie. And then there has been a lot of controversy around this movie, and towards the end of the video, I will talk about that too, and kind of my take of what the media has been talking about, and how I feel about the movie, and kind of how it's been perceived online and just by other people. But we'll get to that later, so let's begin. So, I love the opening scene of this movie. I love the little touch that they did. They made the Warner Brothers symbol like the throwback to like the 80s or 70s, kind of like right when this movie was taking place. I love that like close-in shot of the Joker just in the mirror. You can see there's a tear streaming down his face, and he's trying to smile. He's like kind of like gone like this to try to make himself smile, and you could tell like he's forcing it, like it's hurting him to physically do that. And then when he takes his lips away, he's just immediately sad. I thought that was interesting. And then we cut to not the scene where he gets jumped, but the scene after that where he's talking to his therapist. I thought it was so interesting that how he was laughing, but it was him crying. Like when you first see it, he's totally laughing right now. I wonder why. But when you see it, I saw it again, and even the first time I saw it, he's clearly crying, but he's laughing. Like the laughter is pain that he's feeling. And I thought that was really interesting that Todd Phillips and Scott Silver did that. Something I've never seen happen in a movie with Joker in it. I just thought that was brilliant. Then the next scene is the first, I think, very heartbreaking scene for me. He's on the bus. He's trying to make a kid laugh. He gets stopped by his mother saying, "Stop bothering my kid." And you could just see the look in his face, like of pain and just sadness. He just wants some sort of normal interaction. He's just trying to make people happy. And then he starts breaking out in that laughter that he can't control. And it's so hard to watch because you can tell he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to laugh, but there's nothing he can do. He can't control it. And it's just so painful for him, and it's painful for us to watch. And I think that was the first scene where I was like, this is going to be a really heavy and deep movie. Something I did not expect was going to happen in a Joker movie. Then him and his mother love the Franklin Murray show. And it cuts to that like not flashback, but dream sequence of him imagining himself being on the Murray show, and Murray basically saying, "You're like a son to me. I'd love to be your father." Not those exact words, but and that was heartbreaking too, because it just shows that Arthur Fleck doesn't have a father figure in his life. It's something he's probably always wanted, and how much he looks up to this Murray guy. It's something that he wants to be one day, make people laugh, have everyone love him. It's something that people in this society probably do strive for, like famous actors or famous athletes. People probably think sometimes day to day, like, wish I could be that person. I wish I could be my idol, or at least interact with my idol, be friends with them. Another scene that I thought kind of stood out that I didn't really see anyone really talking about is that scene where his dickhead boss is kind of grilling him for the sign. He's like, why would I take the sign? And he just doesn't believe him. And it like starts panning into him, and he's slowly smiling, but also you see like kind of tears in his eyes. You see that he is so upset right now, but there's nothing he can really do control, and it's really just killing him inside. It's just driving him insane. It's driving him angry. It's driving him so sad because no one understands where he's coming from. No one is listening to him, and it turns into this really creepy but broken and just tragic smile. I thought that was just a really powerful scene too. It's just hard to watch as well. I also love the scene where he's at the comedy club, and it's not his act, but he's watching other people's act, and it's like panning in on him. Everyone's laughing, and he's not laughing at the right times. He's just kind of laughing after the joke is said, or not at all when the punchline is, or when he's just the comedian's kind of explaining a situation, he starts laughing at that, but that's not what the funny part is. It just shows how disconnected he is with everyone, and just doesn't really understand how things work in society, and it just shows like how alone he really is. And I thought that was brilliant too. And all this stuff I've said so far, you gotta give so much credit to Joaquin Phoenix. Like this would be so hard to do as an actor, just because one, it's just difficult, and two, I feel like it would eat away at you inside. Like that is just a very dark and lonely character to portray. You probably have to go to some pretty deep and dark places to get to that point. And Joaquin Phoenix, hats off to you. Like I said, I think you're on par with Heath Ledger. You might even be better. I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I think what you have to do is probably harder. I probably like Heath Ledger better just because in Dark Knight, and it was my childhood and everything. And Heath Ledger's one of the best performances of all time in any role. But I think what Joaquin Phoenix had to do here was just, I think, a lot harder. Like a character transformation from the start to finish, which is insane. So hats off to Joaquin Phoenix. Then the next scene is the subway scene. Now, a lot of spoiler reviews I've watched said this is the scene where I think a lot of the media and the audience turned their brains off if they didn't really want to listen to what this movie had to say. And I agree. I think this part of the movie really is a turning point because, let's be honest, for real, out of everyone Joker kills in this movie, these three guys probably deserved it. I'm sorry that's controversial to say, and I'm sorry if that sounds awful, but the movie kind of implies they're like either rapists or something because they're trying to like get that girl to maybe do something with that guy, and then they just start beating the shit out of a random person. Maybe they didn't deserve to die, but they definitely deserved what was coming to them. And I think that's what like audiences and the media have kind of like shut off. At that point, they're like, no, this movie's dangerous. This glorifies doing violence to people. I think they're wrong in this sense because I think everyone else Joker kills in this movie didn't deserve it at all. Maybe they're dicks. I'll get into that later. They're dickheads to him, but they didn't deserve it. Those Wall Street guys, I think they kind of deserved it. I mean, I think like I said, the movie implies they're probably like rapists or people who probably shoot women horribly, and they just were randomly beating the shit out of a random person they don't even know. It's clearly someone that had some sort of disability and someone who was just sitting there. So that's where I think people turn their brains off. So because deep down in your head you're thinking like, yeah, like those guys, fuck those guys. That was the first time and only time I feel like Joker's actions were justified. One, it was self-defense, and like I said, those guys were probably rapists or something. And then the next scene where he runs in the bathroom, I love this scene so much. One of my favorite scenes in the movie. It just shows that he's kind of like, holy shit, what have I just done? This is the most traumatizing thing I've ever like had to experience. And then he kind of just stops, and this is the first time he totally feels like he's in control. He really has a grasp of the situation, and he just starts doing that dance behind that amazing score. By the way, the score and the soundtrack in this movie is incredible. The score, the music they pick, it's perfect. This score is like tragic, creepy. It's the perfect tone for this movie. And this scene in particular, he's doing this creepy, weird dance, and you could just totally tell he actually enjoyed what he just happened, which is chilling to think about. I know I said before those guys probably deserved it and all this stuff, but like if that happened to like any probably normal person, they'd just be traumatized by that. No one wants to kill someone. Like, that's awful. But Joker, he feels totally control. He even says later in the movie when he's talking to that clerk, he's like, I did something really bad. I thought I was going to feel bad about it, but I don't. And that scene shows exactly why. Because his whole life when he's in society, trying to be a normal person, being a clown and trying to be a comedian, he does not feel in control at all. He's totally out of control mentally, physically. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to interact. But when he does his first act of carnage, he finally feels like he's in control. He knows what he's doing, which is so chilling to think about. And that's like one of the many themes this movie brings up that is just so chilling. Then he barges into that girl's apartment, the girl from Atlanta, and Deadpool 2. And then has like sex with her or something. I remember watching it with my friend when we first saw it. He was kind of like, no, that wouldn't happen. That's weird. That doesn't make any sense. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, I'll wait to see where this movie's going with that. But my first reaction was the same way. I was like, who do this with this creepy guy? I don't buy that. But then she starts hanging out, he stalks her or whatever, and I was still like, this doesn't make any sense. So he has to go to a comedy show, and this scene is so heartbreaking to watch. He goes on stage, he starts laughing because he can't control it, and he's just making an embarrassment of himself. His jokes aren't funny. It's just hard to watch. You can tell this is really what he's been wanting to do for such a long time. It took a lot of courage for him to actually do it. Then towards the end of the act, it seems like it's going well. You hear the background of people laughing. His new girlfriend starts laughing. He goes outside. He sees that like there's a movement of clowns, and he's all happy. He's inspired all these clowns to start doing things, and he just is on top of the world now. He's so happy. And then he finds out that Thomas Wayne is his father, which at first I was like, okay, Bruce Wayne's half-brother, that's kind of weird, but whatever. But the thing, watching a second time, it is heartbreaking, because that scene where he finds out Thomas Wayne is his father, it's like everything he was happy about just got ruined because of figuring out this like truth, But watching it a second time, you realize all that happy stuff was total bullshit. So he's just been miserable this whole entire time. It was all fake. I'll get into that later in a little bit. But that scene makes it even worse when he finds out that he's Thomas Wayne's son, or so we thought. We finally see Bruce Wayne, and he puts his fingers in his mouth, and that part was just so creepy. I was just like, oh my god, whoa. You find out that Penny Fleck worked for Thomas Wayne and that she was insane. Claiming that Thomas Wayne was Arthur's father. You find out that's not true. You find out that Arthur was actually adopted, which I thought was brilliant, because I remember a lot of people going in this movie were pissed off because they were like, oh, Joker doesn't have a name. Arthur, are you kidding me? That's bullshit. Are you fucking serious? Wait till you see the movie, because when you see the adopted papers, it says name unknown, so no one really knows what the Joker's real name is still. I thought that was brilliant too. Everything's going shit for Arthur. He goes back to his apartment, but he doesn't go to his apartment. He goes to his girlfriend's apartment, and this scene is so bone-chilling. When she walks in, she's just scared, and she goes, you're in the wrong apartment. You're kind of thinking like, oh, maybe they're in a fight or something, and then she's like, your name's Arthur, right? You live down the hall, and you're just kind of like, oh shit, this is all bullshit. And then it starts cutting back to like scenes where she wasn't actually there, and it's kind of like in situations where people probably wouldn't have interacted with her and whatever. And I just thought that was insane, because then you question the whole entire movie. You're like, what's real and what's not then? And I thought that was brilliant too, because you find out that that's all bullshit, and that's what the Joker kind of is. Like in The Dark Knight, he tells his stories about the scars, and they're all different because it's all bullshit, and that's kind of what the Joker's character is. He's just unstable, unpredictable, and a lot of it is just bullshit, and I thought that was so brilliant. Next scene, Arthur kills his mom after he finds out that she basically abused him, let him get abused. Kind of, she's the reason, and whoever her boyfriend is, the reason why he's had this condition of laughter probably, and why he's kind of off and just kind of weird. And he says that one line I thought was so. He goes, I hated when you called me happy. I've never been happy my whole entire fucking life. And I just thought that was so sad too. And that next scene I thought was very interesting, where he's just trying to mimic that guy on the Franklin Murray show. He's trying to mimic his posture, his actions, just trying to act like he's full of confidence. And then you realize that he's going on the show just to kill himself in front of everyone. To be honest, I kind of figured that wasn't going to happen just because it was a Joker story, just because it's a Joker movie. If this was just like a standalone character study about just someone who's mentally ill, which this movie is, but just Joker, but it was just about some random person that had nothing to do with any comic books, just a random person, I would assume he's probably going to do it. That would have been the end of the movie. Just because it was a Joker story, though, I kind of assumed that he'll probably be alive at the end of the movie. So I didn't think he was probably going to do that, but I did think that was interesting. Then the next scene is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, too, where the fat guy from work that gave him the gun and said he didn't give him the gun, basically fucked Arthur over. And then the dwarf comes. Arthur just brutally murders the fat dude, and you could tell like Arthur's totally in control now. He liked it. He enjoyed doing that to someone who's wronged him. Like I said before, that dude did not deserve to die, especially the way he did. Yes, he's a dick. Yes, he probably deserves some bad karma to go his way, but he did not deserve to die. He's a fucking asshole. Don't get me wrong. But he did not deserve to die. And then I loved how he just kind of like fucked with the dwarf and just said like, he's like, ah, look at me. He's like walking in. He can't open the door. So Arthur goes over and opens it, shuts it again. He goes, you know, you're always nice to me. And then kisses him on the head. I mean, I thought that was so Joker. I thought that was like he's slowly stepping into that Joker role. Then it's him full Joker makeup, full Joker suit. And it's funny to see him compared to the beginning of the movie. Like, beginning of the movie, he was just dopey, slumpy, walking around in the bus. He's sad as shit. And now he's dancing on the stairs. He's like, you know, he's all confident now. He's fully embraced this role of just an outcast of society. Then the police come and they chase him, and then they get brutally beaten by the rallies as one accidentally shoots one of the clowns, and then Joker gets away. I do love when the police are getting their ass kicked, and Arthur looks over to them. He's like, ah, and he like does this like little dance, throws the mask in the trash can. It's that shot, him walking through the tunnel, smoking a cig. You see all the cops running the other way. I thought that was awesome. And the Franklin Murray show. Now, there's one scene I completely forgot to talk about. I'll talk about right now that I thought was so heartbreaking. Is a scene where he's in the hospital with his mom. He's taking care of her, and he looks up. He looks at the Franklin Murray show, and he sees that his clip is finally on air. And you see the look in his face. He's like, holy shit. And he's like up and stands up. He's so excited. He looks up. He sees Franklin Murray's talking about him. He's like, oh, my God, my idol finally, this might be it. This might be my big break. He's showing the clip, and he just starts laughing. He's so excited. He's like, no way, like, this is amazing. And then Franklin Murray just starts shitting on him. It's like his lifelong hero. It's just shitting on his dream, something he's always wanted to do. And I feel like at this point is before the adoption, he finds out he's adopted and all that stuff. That's where like he really feels like he probably lost everything, because literally nothing is going his way this entire movie, and that is just heartbreaking from an emotional and mental standpoint. Like, that'd be so tough to watch, and it's so heartbreaking to see that he's all happy, and then as he notices what Franklin Murray's doing, he just turns into like utter shock and just, oh my god, like, what the fuck. He finally is at the Franklin Murray show, and he's like, can you introduce me as Joker, because that's what you called me. And you could tell the Franklin Murray's like PR guy, he's like, no, dude, we can't have this guy on, he's fucking crazy, and like all this stuff. He's probably right. He has him on anyway, and I love that scene where he's not on yet, and he's like watching the show, and they're like, oh, next guy, he could use your help, Doc, and like shitting on him even more. And you can just, it pans in the Joker, he's like smoking a cig, and you can see the look in his eyes. I think at that moment he's probably like, I'm not gonna off myself. The music starts kicking in, he's doing that like weird dance, everyone's laughing at him, and he's just done now. He has had enough. Goes on stage, kisses the Doc, does his shit, he starts talking, and this is the point you're like, he is full Joker now. There's like no turning back at this point. And he starts going on this spew about society and like how if it was me lying on the ground, you wouldn't care. But just because Thomas Wayne talked about these stockbroker people, you care about them. Which is another reason why I think the media is so critical of this movie, is because what Joker says a lot of time is disturbing, yes, and it raises a lot of dangerous questions. But a lot of time he's right. It's like in The Dark Knight when he was talking about how if a gangbanger gets shot or a truckload of soldiers get blown up, nobody panics. Like that scene. I mean, he's 100% right. That's why people think these movies, or anytime the Joker's in a movie, it's dangerous, because he raises really serious questions about society and how we perceive things. So when Joker was talking on the Franklin Murray show, he was 100% right about these questions. Like, if I was like getting killed or this ever, you guys wouldn't care. It's like people like Franklin Murray and Thomas Wayne don't know what it's like to be like me, and he's kind of right. I mean, people that are that successful, maybe that rich and that powerful, probably don't have any idea what it's like to be Arthur Fleck or someone like Arthur Fleck. And so Franklin Murray is kind of saying like, this is how you're making excuses for the action you've done and all this stuff, like blah 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 blah. And then I love that line where it's like, someone died tonight because of you. He's like, I know. And he's just like happy about it. And like I said, he's totally embraced Joker. And then he says that one line where he's like, I don't know exactly what it was, I don't remember, but it was like, what do you get when you have a mentally ill loner that's disregarded by society? You get what you fucking deserve. And he blows Franklin Murray's head off right on air. And this scene was the first bit of violence that I was like, kind of like, ugh. Like, obviously, when he kills the fat dude, like, that was gross and it was just shocking. But this, for some reason, was just, to me, was just so brutal. It just felt so real. Executes Franklin Murray on screen. Everyone freaks out. He, like, shoots him again. He does, like, this little dance. Like, he's totally Joker now. He's, like, there's, like, no Arthur Fleck in him at all. Runs up to the camera. He said, and remember, that's life. And he, like, it cuts off. He gets, like, tackled by the cops. Then it cuts to him in this police car. The city's going crazy because of what Arthur did. He started some revolution or riots and all this stuff, and it cuts to him like he's looking out the window, he's like smiling, he can't believe all the stuff he's done. It's a direct parallel of him on the bus, like the second scene in the movie where he's looking out this window, he's just totally just sad and just like and then now he's looking out the window, he's so excited, and the cop looks at him, he's like, this is all because of you, this is all your fault. He's like, I know, it's beautiful, isn't it? And then he gets smashed by this ambulance. It's one of the people part of this clown movement. And then it cuts to Thomas Wayne and his wife getting murdered in front of Bruce. And, you know, that's how the Batman story is. I kind of assumed that was probably going to happen when these riots were going on. It cuts back to Arthur. And this is my favorite scene in the movie. It probably is everyone's favorite scene in the movie. He stands up on this cop car or whatever it was. And everyone's cheering. He just starts like dancing a little bit. He's like posing to them. And it's like he's totally embraced his Joker role. And for the first time in his life, he's feeling totally confident, totally accepted, and probably totally happy. I don't know if totally happy, but he finally feels normal. And then there's that shot of him you look in his eyes, it looks like he's about to cry. It's like there's still a little bit of Arthur in him left. He's looking around, he can't believe what he's done. But then he remembers what society's done to him, how they've never helped him out, how it's completely broken him. And at this point, there's no turning back. And then he remembers how happy he was and how fun it is to basically prove society wrong and show how much of hypocrites they are. And he does the Joker smile and turns around. The crowd goes crazy. He's like posing to them again. And it's kind of like a direct parallel to when he's like this, doing a stand-up. There's basically no one seeing the crowd, but if you cut to that shot, it's like everyone's there. It's kind of parallel to when he said that one line. He's like, all my life, I didn't know if I really existed, but people are starting to notice. And that's kind of like what he's saying. He's now the Joker, and everyone notices him now, and he accepts fully like who he is. And for the first time ever, he feels like he's in control, and he's happy, and he's accepted, which is honestly so tragic that he has to go turn into this dark and terrible person to even feel like he's accepted in this society. And the music while this is playing, it's like you would think that if it's a Joker movie, it'd be kind of creepy or like off-putting, and sometimes the music is, but in this scene, it's like epic and also just, it's like tragic. It's a sad song. It's like you see someone who's totally lost his way. His soul is totally destroyed, and there's no turning back now. He's fully Joker. Arthur Fleck is dead now, and it's just him. And I think that is so fucking brilliant. This movie is incredible. Next scene, he's in Arkham, and he's like laughing to himself, and it keeps cutting back to Bruce Wayne standing over his dead parents. I don't know like what he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking he started something new, or he maybe got his revenge on the Waynes or whatever. And she's like, what's so funny? He's like, I just thought of a funny joke. Oh, can I hear it? And he's like, you wouldn't get it. And I think that's just so chilling to think about, just his humor, what he finds enjoyment out of now, since he's this totally different person. Like, look at that scene to the beginning of the movie. They're completely different people now. And I think that's incredible character development. Some of the best I've ever seen in a movie. And that's because of Joaquin Phoenix and the writing, but Joaquin Phoenix really knocked it out of the park here. Then he starts singing that That's Life song, kind of like what the Franklin Murray show would play at the end of each show. And it's just, the song is perfect for the story of Joker. If you listen to the lyrics or even read the lyrics, I won't go into that, but it's perfect. And I think it was brilliant when it cuts to the next scene playing that song, and it's him in the hallway in Arkham, and you see his shoes dragging. They've got blood all over them. It's like symbolism. Joker probably also implies he probably hurt or killed that girl. And then he's getting chased by the guards. That's what Joker is. Like, he has no agenda, no control. Whatever is most fun to him. And that particular moment was probably fun to fuck with those Arkham guards. He probably get out there whenever he wants and go do what he wants. But at the time, that's what he wants to do. And that's why Joker's such a great villain. And that's why I think this movie is incredible. It's wonderful. Now, this is where I'll talk about what I think the media's gotten all wrong with this movie. Now, I've seen people saying this movie glorifies mass shootings or violence or justifies it, or even shows that gives reason to someone who is mentally ill to do things like that, and might give a motivation that they might turn into some sort of figure or symbol like that. Now, I understand these are genuine concerns, and I see them. I totally do, because like there is part, like at the end of the movie, like I said, Joker seems like he's finally happy, and maybe someone with a disability would think if they did something like this, they would find acceptance or happiness like Joker does. I don't think that's the movie's fault. That's how the movie's supposed to tell its story, because that's what happened with the Joker character, and I think that's what they're supposed to say. I feel like anything inspires these horrible events sometimes. I read about years ago there was a shooting at a Walmart because some guy thought if he did this, he would get reincarnated as Danny Phantom. Ban Nickelodeon cartoons now? Like, I just think insanity is there. I don't think a movie or video game is the reason to blame if someone does something horrible like that. It shouldn't be the art's fault. I just feel like I said, people who are insane can be inspired by literally anything. And I think that's what the media keeps harking on, saying this movie, like I said, they say that justifies all this bad stuff the Joker does. Like I said before, I don't think it does at all. You see why he's doing these things. You see why he's doing these horrible things. You see why he commits his carnage, but it doesn't justify it. I know I said this when he kills the Wall Street people, it's kind of justified, but that's because I said it was like self-defense. Those guys might be rapists, but everyone else didn't deserve to die. And it's not justified at all in this movie. Joker looks like a villain. He looks like a bad person by the end of it. It'd be like saying Infinity War justifies mass genocide. Like, you see why Thanos is doing these things. You understand his plan. You understand why he's doing it. But does not justify the fact that genocide is bad. And that's the same thing with the Joker. It does not justify that you can kill people. It shows it is bad. You cannot do that. I think the message that the media should be portraying is that society is cruel. And I think it means we should be nice to the people. Anyone. People who are different in the society, they need help fitting in. Maybe we should listen to people and get them help if they need it, not ignore them. We should pay attention more and listen to people who are mentally ill and need more help. We shouldn't cut funding to programs or medication that helps people deal with anxiety or depression. You probably shouldn't find the next person who's just going to be a punchline so you can get more views on social media or just get a good headline for clickbait. Maybe we shouldn't find that person. Just let him live. Let him be, just do him. We should think about how that person would feel if he saw something like that online. I think this is what the message of the movie that the media should be talking about, because it's something that could bring positive change to our society, maybe help people out who really need it. I just feel like they're dangerously pushing for some violent end that they're like dangerously pushing for. I'm not saying that's what the media wants, but it's just annoying to see that they can't portray this message that it could bring more awareness to people with mental illnesses or dealing with anxiety, depression, and get them more help. And I think that's what the movie wants you to think about. And think about how society could be better at helping people with these issues. That's just my rant about like media and just how people are portraying this movie. I understand if you don't like it, that's totally fine. It's fine. Like, I don't like a lot of movies people like. A lot of people don't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love that movie, but I'm not going to shit on someone for not liking it. I just feel like I've just seen reviews of people just completely shutting out this movie and shitting on it just because they're saying it portrays a wrong message. And I don't think it does at all. I think the message is we should pay more attention to people dealing with a mental illness. And I think that's what Todd Phillips, Scott Silver, and Joaquin Phoenix have kind of trying to portray when they made this movie. And I never thought a comic book movie like this would hit me like it has. Like, I can't stop thinking about this movie, and I actually do feel really sad and bad for people who are dealing with something like this. Like, this movie is very tragic. It's a tragic story about someone who just wants to fit in and be happy in the society, but is just rejected and beaten by it. I didn't think when I heard they're making a Joker movie, I just thought I was gonna be creeped out the whole time and just be like, oh, he's doing bad things or whatever. And I was creeped out a lot of times, but I did not think I was gonna feel so bad for this guy. I did not think I was gonna really feel sad. Like, the second time I walked out of this movie, I was sad. I thought about it for like an hour and I was sad again. I was like, people actually deal with something like this, just being rejected by society, being beaten by society, and can't get anything going right for them. And I think we should help them out. I think that's what the movie's trying to say, and that's the message you should at least get from it, because that's what I got, and I think that message can bring positive change to society. Well, guys, that's my spoiler talk on Joker. Sorry if it was a little long. I'm going to try and review El Camino this weekend. I'm actually going out of town, so I won't be able to probably do it till Monday. I'm super excited about that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and click here to see more of Davey Dave's Takes.